Aloha, everybody. What's happening, guys? Happy Thursday. Hope you guys all having a great week. Yes, it's just me tonight, guys. It's just me. Appreciate you guys jumping on. We'll hang out for a couple minutes. Allow people to jump on. Just a little talk story tonight. Meet the candidate kind of thing. COVID has really made campaigning different. It's a whole new world, and what we would be in some event. We would be at a hall or a convention center or someplace, and we'd be having some poo-poos and dinner and some music and uh, and while others choose to do that, I want to play it safe, guys. And I think my stance on COVID. If you watched our show last night, you see that we are nowhere near out of the pandemic. So, in talking with my team, who is actually my wife, Patsy, we decided to just do a virtual meet the candidate and hopefully get the message out. Hopefully, get people to know who I am and what I stand for and what I'm trying to do and why I decided to get back into the political arena. So I hope tonight will be informative. I have notes so I don't stray too far, but we do definitely want to take your questions. So as you can see on the screen, there's my email address. That's my website, melforcouncil.org. You can go there and check it out. You can, if you have a question, I'm going to be taking the questions after. Hopefully, I'll answer most of your questions during the discussion. But if you have a question, please send it over to melforcouncil@gmail.com. Melforcouncil@gmail.com, and I will answer whatever questions that I can at the end of after end of my our discussion. So I appreciate you guys joining me tonight. Like I said, we'll hang out, talk story a little bit for a couple of minutes to make sure everybody's on. We are being broadcasted on obviously Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, and hopefully after tonight you'll get to know me better. You'll understand some of the reasons why I decided to jump back in the ring for Kauai County Council. So anyway, again, Mel Rapozo, I'm sorry, melforcouncil@gmail.com. Shoot your questions over. We'll get to them. And if you want to get to the website, it's melforcouncil.org. Very simple website, to the point. Shoots, I'm trying to share, but it's only bringing up groups. I'm not sure why you can't share. I've never been an advocate for bribery, but I'm pretty sure if Patsy hands out some of her baking with a Mel Raposo sticker on it, there would be tons of votes. Cute, 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 Tyson. I think you're right too. We'll talk about our spaghetti dinner fundraiser at the end, where you will find in that little spaghetti plate, you will find one of Patsy's treasures. So, all right, all right, all right. So, first of all, we'll just go ahead and get started and try and share this. I'm not sure why it's sharing to groups. I have no idea. But if you're able to hit the share button, whether you're on whatever platform you're on, if you're on YouTube or Twitter or LinkedIn or Facebook, I'm on my personal page as well as my Friends of Mel Raposo page. So yeah, you can do that. That would really, really help. We hit the share button now, um, and we can get as much reach as possible. My name is Mel Rapozo. If you don't know, my wife is Patsy Rapozo. You guys all know Patsy. We tried to get her to run this year, but she didn't. She didn't want to run. She didn't want to run. And pardon me if I miss your comments because I see some of the comments coming up. Good luck, great luck. Thank you all. But I'm going to try and focus on my notes. I don't want to stray. And then, like I said, we'll get to the questions after. So, born and raised here on Kauai, graduated from Kauai High School in 1982. Yes, that makes me 58 this year in September. Um, Back in the day, we could work when we were 14 years old with your parents' signature. So I started working as a dishwasher in a Mexican restaurant, and from 14 years old, and I haven't stopped ever since. That's where we get our work ethic from. Our parents, taught us that we got to work for our money because we didn't have money. We didn't have money, so we had to work for our money. Uh, After graduation, I really wanted to go to college. I wanted to be a hotel manager, believe it or not. And Couldn't afford college. There were not that many opportunities for grants. My grades weren't that good, so scholarships was kind of out. So I joined the Air National Guard, the Hawaii Air National Guard. I joined it actually while I was a junior in high school. They had a tuition waiver program, so I took advantage of that. Joined the Guard, signed up for 6 years in exchange for them paying my tuition at a UH campus for the duration of while I was in. So I joined the Guard, became a telephone mechanic, is what it was called, electronics person, and went away for training for a year in Texas. Came home and enrolled in Kauai Community College in their hotel operations program with the tuition waiver. And shortly after that, at the time, I was also working at Foodland and was working and going to school. And then a police officer's job popped up. I got hired at the age of 19 years old. And because of scheduling conflicts at the time, the department was not making adjustments to schedules for school. So I had to basically drop out of school, focus on being a cop. I did join the police department in 1989. And after 13 years, I left the force, started my own private investigative agency, as well as a pawn shop, and did all kinds of things. So I was a business owner for many, many, many years. We had a successful business. And then politics got involved, right? I got involved in politics, and all of a sudden, it was very difficult. The time that the council job, I ran my first run for council was in 1998, and I did not win. I lost by 241 votes, and then I ran again in 2002, and I got elected. So I was trying to balance business, family, everything else, and decided to just focus on the council, and took up a job as a night auditor with Kauai Beach Resort. And a lot of people don't know this, but for my years on the council, I held down a full-time 40 hours a week job as a night auditor at Kauai Beach Resort and 2 years at Timbers. And it was rough, but you got to do what you got to do. And so I'm not afraid to work, obviously, and I've been working for a very long time. I served for 14 years on the county council. I served from 2002 to 2008, where Mayor Brian Baptiste unexpectedly passed away at a special election. I ran for mayor, was unsuccessful. The following election, I ran for council, got back in, and there I stayed until my term ended in 2018, serving 8 years. My last two terms, 4 years, were as a council chair, and very, very enjoyable time. We had a great time, and did a lot of good things. But and then term limits, right? So I obviously had to leave. I was still working at the airport, at the hotel, and after I left the council, as you all know, I ran for mayor, and again unsuccessful. People like me as a legislator. I think they're afraid of me as a mayor, but uh, decided to go back to what I do best, investigations, and I currently work at the prosecutor's office as a special investigator, and left the hotel industry. But I did work in the hotel industry for 12 years as a night auditor, got to learn a little bit about that place, that industry, and it was quite intriguing. And I learned a heck of a lot about private sector business as well as the hotel industry. And again, I did learn quite a bit. As far as community service, my first year in the police department, I volunteered to go to a Special Olympics event. It was a dance at Kali Hill Gym. And at first, I was very apprehensive. I wasn't comfortable around those athletes that had physical and mental disabilities. But at the end of that night, I had fallen in love with all of those kids. Uh, I had built a relationship with a lot of the coaches and the staff, and they asked me to coach for Special Olympics. So I did so, and I coached the Special Olympics track and field team for 10 years. And that started the addiction to community service, the addiction to volunteerism. And ever since then, my wife and I and our family has been in the community, whether it's Pop Warner or United Way or drug court. It has never ended. And a lot of people got to adjust their lifestyles when they enter into public office. We never had to, because we were already doing it. So for us, the lifestyle change wasn't as drastic as many other people that enter politics for the first time. So I love our community. I love our island. I love our state, and I think you can tell by the passion that sometimes the passion gets the best of me, but that's because I have this amazing passion uh, for this place. Um, we have two children, Baron and Nicole. They both live in Oregon, victims of the price of paradise or the cost of paradise to live in Hawaii, especially here on Kauai. So they both are doing extremely well, very successful in their own businesses in Oregon, and they love it. They miss home, but the opportunities for the young ones up in Oregon and many other places on the mainland far outweigh the opportunities here in Hawaii, mainly because of the cost of living and just the lack of opportunities for our young kids, and that is something that we really gotta focus on. Um, some people are saying they're not getting it. I'm not sure why. I'm assuming I'm on because I'm seeing a bunch of comments, so I'm not sure. I'm hoping that this is being broadcast across all the platforms. Well, anyway, why am I running again? I already told you I served 14 years on the county council, and when I started, Kaipo Singh was the chair, uh, and I remember my first term. He came up and he said, "Hey, what committees do you want to serve on?" I said, "All. I want to learn. I want to learn. I want to engage. I want to be on every single committee possible." So he allowed me to serve on every committee, and Kaipo Singh was a great chair. He taught me a lot of things, and I have served with many other chairpersons during my time. And one of, as I was approaching my last 4 years on the council, I thought about becoming the chair of the council. And the reason I wanted to become the chair, as you know, in politics, and I mean no disrespect to any of the chairs that I work with, everyone has their own style and their own strategies. Um, but what was happening, and it happens at the state level, it happens at Congress, it happens in everywhere you go in politics. I I didn't appreciate when I had a constituent that had an issue, or if I had a concern that wasn't being answered, and I wanted to have it on the agenda so we could have the public discussion with the other members of the council. Oftentimes we were told, no, we're not going to put that on. It's either too controversial, or let's work with the administration and see if we can get this thing worked out before we put it out to the public. And I was troubled by that. I was really troubled by that because my constituents deserve that opportunity to have their concerns aired out in public in front of the council. So as we were approaching, after I got elected, and on my second to the last term, I went out and solicited. The way it works is the council members that get elected elect their chairperson. So I went out and I solicited all the council members for their support for me to be the chair. And my commitment to them was that I would put every item that they want on the agenda, whether I agreed or disagreed, whether the administration agreed or disagreed. If you had a constituent issue, if you had a concern, it would go on the agenda. And I committed that to them, and I was successful in becoming the chair. And first term, second term as chair, I never ever failed them. I allowed every single item on the agenda. What that did was it created this transparency. It created this community engagement. It created council members that felt that the feel that they were as equal as every other person. You see on the council, 7 people have equal power. I don't care what position you came in at the election, whether you're 1 or 7, every one of the 7 members of that county council has the same power and responsibility to represent the people that elected them. I believe that everyone should have that. If you have an issue, whether it's barking dogs, or it's a screwed up street, or whatever it is, and you wanted to have the public discussion, Chucky Rapozo says, I was one prime example. Thank you very much. Yeah, Chucky had an issue. No one wanted Chucky's issue on the floor. I put it on because Chucky deserved to have his issue heard. I think that's just how it should be. I think that should happen at the state. I think that should happen in Congress, but it doesn't, because chairs of committees or chairs of Congress or the legislature leverage their power. And I did not want to do that. I felt, I don't care if you were number 7 on the ballot or on the election, that if you had an issue and that you were concerned and you had an obligation to to deal with your constituents, I would make sure that happened, and I would make sure that happened ASAP. And that's what we did for 4 years, 2 terms, and and it worked well. And I think our council members appreciated that. Now we all never always agreed, but we had the discussion, and we took the vote, and we let the chips fall where they fall. And so I turned out again. I ran for mayor, but I had made a decision that after I lost the mayor's race, that I was retired. I actually retired from the county. I filed my papers and to retire, and I'm officially retired. Uh, and I had promised myself that that was it. I was not going to get back into politics. We threw away everything, and not because of that I was mad. I felt that I had given enough, that we had done our best, and now it was time to enjoy life and go do what we want to do. Kids were on the mainland, and it was now an opportunity for us to enjoy. And that was in 2018. And we threw away our banners, we threw away our signs, all the council stuff, everything went. And because in my mind, I was not gonna run again. And 2020 came around, and everyone had just assumed that I was going to run. Everyone, I was getting called, no, you never put your papers, you never filed, and all of these things. And I said, no, I'm not running, and I'm not running. And there's some people on the call right now that I spoke with, and I had been getting calls from the newer people that wanted to run for council and wanted to know if I was going to run, because if I was going to run, I was a shoe-in and that they wouldn't have a chance. And I thought about that, and I said, it's time that we share or allow these new ideas, the new blood, to come back on the council, to try and get on the council. And I think it worked out, and we had some new members enter on the council. We had, and I chose not to run. A lot of people thought I did the Mel and Charlie show for political reasons, that I was doing the show with Charlie so I could build my political base. So when I ran in 2020, it would have helped my career. I can honestly tell you, honestly, genuinely, that show was never thought about for politics. And I think for those of you that follow the show, completely understand that that was just an informative, a way that we could pass informative information out to the public, because there was nowhere you could get it. The talk story with Mel, the Facebook Live with Mel Rapozo, was on from well before COVID. We only did it once a week. We never had the following that we have with the Mel and Charlie show, but I always kept the community abreast of what was going on at the council through my Facebook Live, and it's still there in the archives. If you go to my Facebook, you'll see all the episodes. But there was never in my mind that the Facebook show was going to be for political gain. Absolutely not. And I know I still get accused of that. I heard that so many times. So it is what it is, guys. For those of you that know me personally and have worked with me for the last 14, 16 years, you know the passion. You know the passion. So after being involved with this COVID show, and after following what was going on, and I realized that something was missing. And again, I mean no disrespect for anybody, but this is from me as a constituent, as a voter, as a resident, as a citizen of this place. Something was missing. The transparency was nowhere like it was when we were serving back in the day. The community was left in the blind as far as I'm concerned. I was, and Patsy's my witness, I get calls regularly from constituents that weren't getting the responses that they wanted. And granted, COVID was here. I don't think COVID should have been any kind of roadblock for communication between constituents and elected officials, whether it's a county level, state level. And I was getting a lot of calls from people regarding issues that they had, and I would basically, all I could do was send them in the right direction, call the council or call the administration, the departments, and ask for some help. But that was happening more and more and more, and people kept saying, no, you got to get back on the council, you got to get back. A lot of people wanted me to run for mayor, but I was not in a position to commit to running for mayor, and that was never my intent. But I believe that people need to be heard. I think people really need to be heard, and they need to be responded to. When a constituent has an issue, whether you can help them or not, that's irrelevant. You need to communicate, and you need to let them know. And I was starting to hear that people were having a difficult time with that, and COVID was always the reason. Well, they managed to get my number, they managed to get my email, and they managed to catch me at outside, and I'm always, I love helping people, and it was all right. Well, I thought about it, talked about it with my wife and the kids, and said, maybe I need to consider going back on the council, or trying to anyway. I mean, obviously, it's a race, it's an election, we got to win. And after a little bit of discussion and weighing the benefits, and we decided we're going to go and run. I decided that I was going to run again, and I said that we're going to go back to basics. We're going to go run under the fundamentals that we ran back in 1998 when we lost, again, by 241 votes. But we're going to go back to that. We're going to go back to efficiency, accountability, and responsibility. I felt that was what we needed to build up in our county again, and that's what really triggered me. And as you can tell by my little banners and signs should be coming out shortly, it's the original design: efficiency, accountability, responsibility. How do we get there? And we're going to get to the issues real quick, guys. But how do we get there? Well, number one is efficiency. We have to run an efficient county. If you guys saw the last budget, this budget has grown tremendously. uh, we have an auditor position, a county auditor position. By the way, I have the record of introducing the most audits or bills, resolutions for audits in the county of Kauai's history. I have introduced more bills for audits, to audit specific departments within our county. And again, those of you that have followed, know this is true. And I also have the record for having the most bills for audits not getting passed. Councils of the past didn't like audits. The administrations of the past did not like audits. I believe audits are good. I believe audits are healthy. We have a position for an auditor. We did have an auditor at one time. They ran a bunch of audits. It definitely showed us the ways we could better improve our efficiencies. But that auditor position has sat empty now for years, years. And that comes under, it's not an administrative position, it is the council's position. That position needs to be filled immediately. We need to get back on track with monitoring our expenses, our expenditures, monitoring our programs to make sure that we are efficient. And that is the first thing. As far as efficiency goes, that is one of the things we got to do right away. Get that auditor on board and get regular performance audits being done so we can figure out if we are in fact being as efficient as we can be. There is no reason why anyone should be afraid of an audit. Zero. That we should be welcoming audits. So we need to hire that auditor. The council also needs to conduct audits on their own. There is a line item in the budget that provides for funding for external audits, and we need to take advantage of that. And on the more of the larger expenditures that we have, larger programs that we have, to make sure we're doing it right and making the best use of our taxpayers' money. The other thing is going through the budget. Every year, every budget year that I was on the council, I battled with the council and the administration that we need to reset the budget. We need to go back to where, right now we roll off last year's budget, right? We take last year's budget and we add more things to it rather than redefine that budget and make sure that budget is dealing with what we need and not what we want. Right now, everyone is struggling. Now is not the time to be going out there and fattening the budget, putting the fat in there and purchasing things that we want. No, we should be focusing on the things that we need. And that is, again, part of being efficient. Part of being efficient. Accountability. One of the things that I would really want to see, that when a constituent, when a resident, a citizen, or anyone that lives here, or even visitors for that matter, has an issue, whether it's a broken pipe, whether it's a burnt out street light, whether it's whatever the case may be, they should be able to call one phone number, one hotline, and that caller gets a tracking number that you can track where your issue is at any given time. we cannot continue to punt. I don't know how many of you have ever tried to call the county, and if you get to a human, and then they tell you got to call someone else, call someone else, call someone else. Listen, we are there. We work for the people. There should be one number, and that person manning that line should be sending it where it needs to go and keep track of it. So if I had made a call in 2 weeks ago and I'm trying to figure out status, I call the number, they go to the computer, find the tracking number and tell you exactly where it is so we can track. Again, that comes under accountability, people. We have to hold our county accountable uh, for our actions. And then of course responsibility. Being responsible, yeah, like a call center, Susan. Being responsible to your constituents. Doing what you say you're gonna do, following up with what you say you're gonna follow up with. Do not let people leave people hanging. That is the worst thing. And that's what I hear. I hear this from the public calling. I called and I reported this. I haven't heard back. I called back. No one gets back to me. That all has to change. And I wanted to explain one thing, that in our charter, which is like our county constitution, it's like the state constitution or the U.S. Constitution, but in our charter, there's a separation of power that's clearly defined in the charter that says the legislative body, which is the county council, cannot direct the administration to do anything. So the council cannot tell the administration to do anything. That's against the charter. We can request, we can urge, we can do as much as we can, except we cannot tell them what to do. So I know a lot of times the council gets blamed for things that don't get done, but you got to understand that the legislative body does not have the authority to direct the departments to do anything. And that is why it's very important that the council provides that check and balance so that we can have the discussions in the public on the floor so that you all can understand where we're at in any specific issue. And that's not happening. And that needs to happen again. That needs to happen again. And that's one of the things I hope to bring back. Um, so what are the issues? What are the issues? I see a lot of comments about audits. Yeah, I mean, why would anyone not want an audit unless you're trying to hide, right? I mean, that just and again, let's go check the record, man. I introduced a bunch, public works, planning department. I mean, it was just so many, and it was never approved. I see a lot of questions. I'm going to ask you guys to please email the questions to melforcouncil@gmail.com. It's on the screen, and then when I'm done in the next few minutes, I'll open up my iPad and we'll go over the questions. Just because I want to focus on speaking to you all and not trying to track the questions and get sidetracked, because that's very easy for me to do. I'm Portuguese, and this thing could go on for 10 hours, and I want to keep it to an hour. And we're already halfway there. So issues. What the heck is going on? Well, number one, and this is not issues. These issues, as I'm going to bring them out, is not in any specific order. See, we cannot focus on one issue. We cannot focus on one issue and wait till we fix this issue and then start the next issue. No, these issues need to be worked on simultaneously. These issues need to be worked on immediately. But I just want to share my thoughts on the issues as I see it. Now, is this correct? Maybe not. This is as I see it. One of the things people that know me will tell you, you may not always agree with Mel Rapozo, but you know where I'm coming from. I don't hide. Everyone has an opinion on every issue. So when politicians say, I need more info, no, they have an opinion. It might be a personal opinion, but they have an opinion. So, and I'm never afraid to share my opinion. Solid waste. We have a lot of issues. Drugs, crime. So again, this is in no order that we need to deal with these issues simultaneously. But solid waste is an issue because, and again, those of you that know me know that I have been advocating for this for over 10 years, because we've always been told that we're running out of space, we're running out of space. Right now, as of today, we have no landfill site, we have no landfill study, we have no place to go. Our current landfill in Kekaha, or in Mana, is going to fill up in the next few years. And it's going to fill up before we can get a new landfill sited and constructed and open. Now that's a crisis because we cannot. There's what do we do? This can has been kicked down the road for so many years. We're at the end of the road. There's no more kicking the can, and we are in a crisis. One of the questionnaire questions I got from some organization was, what are your plans to do about the landfill before it gets into a crisis? No, we're at the crisis, people. We're there. And many, many, many years ago, myself and uh, Councilmember Ross Kagawa did a resolution urging Mayor Carvalho at the time to start pursuing the waste to energy. I know there's a lot of people that are afraid of waste to energy. They think it's dirty. They think it's going to pollute the world. They think, well, if you don't think that landfill is polluting our water right now, then you have another thing coming. See, when waste to energy made its debut 25 years ago, 30 years ago, it was old. It was the technology wasn't good. It was dirty. But right now, uh, all of the technologies that are available today are clean, are modular. See, when you talk to the people right now that are deciding what we're going to do, they're going to tell you that we don't have enough trash. Don't believe that. The modular systems of today can be scaled down to as low as 25 tons per day, and we have 200 tons a day. There is no shortage of trash. People are going to say, well, it's going to interfere with our recycling. Listen, people, we are living on an island that has a finite amount of land. If you're a short thinker and you only want to solve the problems for the next 10 or 15 or 20 years, then go ahead and build a landfill and go let all them saucy juices go into your ground. Dig a hole. But what are you going to do when that landfill fills up? What are you going to do then? What are you going to do then? You don't have this unlimited amount of real estate to go build another landfill. We do a waste to energy plant. Two things. Number one, we are able to burn, or whatever technology we choose to use, we are able to process about 85% of the volume of our trash. In other words, only 15% of the daily trash would occupy the landfill. The rest would be converted to power, electricity, fuel. These systems are clean. Everybody talks about how it's going to pollute the. We're burning oil. We're burning diesel. We're already doing that. These waste to energy technologies are clean, and it works, and it produces a revenue source. So I'll debate this with anyone, any environmentalist. I have done a lot of research. Even though I'm not on the council, I can promise you I haven't stopped working. And I will tell you, there are many technologies today that would fit perfectly on our island. It would reduce our reliance on landfills. We still need a landfill to deal with we call it monofills, to deal with the ash, and we would solve our problem. Again, some people believe that is not a good way to do it. I'll argue that is the only way right now, because we don't have land to continue to dig holes. We don't. So that's one of the things we have to think about: the future generations. We have to think about not what will happen after this landfill, but what will happen after the next landfill. What's going to happen? What are you going to do? We don't have nowhere to send it. We talk about affordable housing, which we'll get to in a second. We need our lands to put people in homes. You can't do that on top of a landfill. All right, the next issue that is very passionate to my heart is the drug treatment center. I am almost embarrassed right now that facility isn't open. For many of you that don't know, when I got elected in 2002, Brian Baptiste got elected first time as a mayor. And we had both gotten elected. It was my first time on the council, his first time as a mayor. He had been on the council. I'd worked with Brian with anti-drug organizations for years. But Brian and I had a discussion. He invited me to sit on his anti-drug coalition, which I obviously agreed. And we had started working on this plan. Brian's dream was to build an adolescent drug treatment center for the kids of our island 20 years ago. Brian unfortunately passed away unexpectedly. Mayor Carvalho picked up the ball and he really moved the needle to get the facility that's sitting right now up in Kapaya, up going up to the falls. That's the land was donated by Grove Farm. The state and the county put up the funds to build the building. It's sitting there, overgrown, unused, while we have kids struggling every single day, and in many cases even dying from drugs. It's embarrassing. So my commitment is that uh, that is a very short-term project that needs to be done now. I am actually working on the Catch nonprofit board that is trying to get this place open, and because of legal issues and issues that I cannot disclose right now, it's politics that's keeping that place from being open. I had asked several council members to put it on the agenda, to have the discussion so the public would understand what is going on. And they were not allowed to put it on the agenda. Shameful. So I can commit to you that is a very short-term project that we need to get built now. It's there. It's there. And it's overgrown, needs to be pretty much renovated because of the anyway. So that one, yeah, I just don't have the time to discuss. I don't have to tell you how important it is to take care of our adolescents right now. I don't have to tell you how many kids, I'm sure many of you right here on the call tonight have been touched by drug abuse, drug addiction. So that is one that's very dear to my heart. And I can honestly tell you, if I get on that council, that item will be on the agenda in the first or second meeting that we have. I promise you that. Homelessness. There's a couple of things. When I was on the council, I suggested, because again, we cannot direct the administration, and this was during the last administration, I proposed or suggested that we use the Lihui Stadium parking lot as a safe zone we have a lot of houseless people. Now, there's a stigma that goes with homeless. They're drug addicts, they're thieves, they're crooks, they're this, they're that. That's not true of all the houseless people. I know this. I work at the prosecutor's office. We are chasing our tails every day looking for homeless witnesses or victims. We have an opportunity to meet a bunch of these people. And you know what? They're not all crooks. They're not all druggies. They're not all thieves. Some of these people work. They're living in their cars and they have no safe place to go. So I propose that we open up the stadium at night. Give these people a nice place, safe location right next to the police station. Open up the showers and the bathroom so they can go in and get cleaned up every single day, every single night. No cost to the county. Organize it, put a team in place from that community. They would be responsible for cleaning the stadium, and they would be out of the stadium in the morning to allow for the public use of the facility. What harm is that? Well, the administration didn't want to do it. They didn't want to risk damaging the stadium. And they'd rather have these people sleeping in their cars in bushes, hiding from park rangers and all of that. Homelessness is an issue. Houselessness is a bigger issue. And it all comes down to the availability of affordable housing, which we'll get to next or in a little bit. The other thing, and this one's going to piss off a lot of people, but I'm not here to try to make people smile or laugh. I'm here to solve problems right now. Hundreds of homeless people arrive on our island. No address, no permanent address. They just get off a plane. So many of them are sent here from jurisdictions. They are sent here because they are tired of them wherever they're at on the mainland. They get off the plane. They go straight to the state health social services offices. They can go get their benefits. They go get their food stamps, the EBT cards. They get their housing vouchers. They get all of these things. And our local families cannot get those because they make too much money, because they barely make too much, so they cannot qualify. But these people are coming off the plane, some of them with fake IDs, some of them are fugitives. And we are giving them the handout so they can go live on the beach in paradise, cause trouble. I don't know how to do this, but there has to be a way for our state to require maybe 6 months residency on this island or in this state before you can qualify for public benefits, before you can take that voucher from one of our local families because you decided to come here or someone put you on a plane to come here and you have absolutely nothing and you're going to go and take a voucher away from our local families. Unbelievable. Listen, I love people. I love people, but they know that they can come here and they can get a free ride with no documentation. And our poor residents got to go through hoops to get an EBT card to help pay for food for their family. It's like, it's okay if we can say no to a local resident who's struggling, but on these people that are coming in, and listen, I ain't making this up. I get this from people that work at the state. That's what they do. There has to be a way how we can control, because you cannot prevent people from flying here. Well, we can prevent people from flying here to freeload. Again, it's not a county, we don't have that authority, but that is an issue that I would definitely bring up with the state to start looking at how we can preserve our benefits for our local residents and not these people that are flying in on a free ticket from some other jurisdiction. And yeah, some people will say I'm cold-hearted. Well, you know what? I love our residents. And if you live in Texas or California or Washington, wherever you live, you go let them take care of you. Do not come here and drain our system and take away benefits that our families should be getting. Traffic, I'm just going to say this, guys. You know what? The time has come. It's long gone. You're in traffic every day. I don't know if many of you remember when I was running for mayor, I told everyone that I'd already worked with the Department of Hawaiian Homelands. I'd worked with Grove Farm, several of course, the State Department of Transportation, that we would open up those alternate cane roads, alternate routes on the existing cane roads so we could allow traffic to flow freely. And in fact, the opposition was crazy. It was like, no, we don't need new lanes. New lanes isn't the problem. Isn't the solution. We need to get more people on the buses. We need to get more people on bikes. Listen, guys, I'm a realist. If you haven't figured out by now, I'm a realist. And I've been around way too long to understand what works and what doesn't work. Now, as I see this traffic lined up, and I just, within a few feet inland, there's pathways that we could use, that landowners would have an opportunity to work with the county, work with the state, give us the right of way to your unused cane haul roads so we can bring it up to standard and we can utilize that for cars, for traffic to move forward, to alleviate this traffic that is causing such a problem. We get an accident, you shut down for 4 hours, and 100 yards or so inland, you have a route that you could be using. If these landowners don't want to cooperate, I say we condemn those lands for public use, which is perfectly legal. Eminent domain. We're not buying all your property. We're buying a strip of land so we can put a road on it so we can get our traffic moving. It's insane how long we have not done anything about this. And again, the council cannot make this happen, but the council can provide the funding. And if the administration does not want to do it, then we withhold funding on other projects and moving it to picking up these lands so we can use it for traffic. It's a very simple solution, folks. It's a very simple solution. Yes, it's going to cost money. But if you landowners don't want to cooperate, guess what, guys? You're going to lose that chunk of land. And we are going to own that chunk of land for public use purposes. That is what we need to do. I will tell you, I have spoken to landowners, and they are willing to allow us the right of way. Yes, there's liability issues. We incur the liability. Yes, there's cost. But we cannot continue to pretend that this traffic is not going to get worse. Every year we go to Congress. Every year we go to Washington, D.C. We have our National Association meeting of counties meetings up in D.C. We get a chance to talk to our delegation. And for 14 years, I went up, oftentimes with other council members, lobbying our congressional delegation to take a look at Kauai, and we need to start the discussion to build a new, I want to see a federal highway here, inland, Mauka. Right now, if we get a tsunami, we get a tidal wave, we get all of these issues that'll block off. We saw what happened with the landslide. If Wailua Bridge goes out, what happens? You half the island is cut off. No one sees that. Congress doesn't see it. Every single congressional delegation, except for the last 3 years, since I haven't been on that council, was asked. I even joked with them and said, we'll name the bridge after you. Whatever it takes. It's going to take a lot of money and a lot of time to build it. We need to start the discussions now. We need to make the commitments now. Don't tell me you don't have money. You guys giving $700-something million for rail. No, this is a matter, it's not a matter of convenience anymore. This is a matter of public safety. Because we cannot allow people to get cut off because of a landslide or because of a bridge that gets washed out or because of sea level rise, which is happening. A lot of our highway on Kauai is along the coast. What are we going to do? What are they going to do? You cannot pretend it's not happening. So the discussions need to happen. You need somebody on that council that's going to make it happen. You need somebody that's not afraid to stand up and say, hey, Congress, wake up. Our delegation, you guys need to understand that this is not a convenience issue. This is a health and safety issue. And we can lose lives if we don't take care of this problem now. So I don't have to convince you guys. You guys all know the problems. It's just that we have elected not to address them because it's too expensive. You think it's going to be cheaper in 10 years? Wake up, people. Wake up. Affordable housing. Listen up, guys. The first thing, redefine affordable housing. $600,000, $700,000 is not affordable housing. That is not affordable housing. We use median income, we use federal guidelines, we use all of these numbers that don't mean squat because our families cannot afford it. It's not affordable. See, affordable housing is housing that is affordable. That's just Webster's dictionary, right? Affordable housing means housing that's affordable. Is $600,000 affordable? Is $500,000? Yes, it's affordable to who? To our local residents, our families, our young families? No, it's not. So the first thing is to accept the fact that 600 grand is not affordable. You want to call it gap housing, you want to call it workforce housing, you want to call it market housing, call it what you want. Do not call that affordable housing. Do not. Oh, well, the Fed said we got to use this chart. Well, that chart does not apply. You see, what the problem here in Kauai anyway is you have a lot of rich people and you have a lot of poor people. You have a lot more poor people than rich people. But the people that are rich have so much money that it drives that median income so high, so damn high, that your average your average family cannot afford to buy a house because you set the price of the house based on a median income, which is artificially high. So you cannot use that. You cannot use that. Now, it's the county and the state's responsibility not to dump more money into a program that's not working. Because I don't care what. If you could build as many $600,000 homes as you want, your local families ain't going to buy them. Your transplants going to buy them. Your people are going to be buying them long distance. You guys see the whole thing. We're just throwing money into a system that's broken. That's the problem. You got to define affordable as 350 or 400,000. The county has to offer some kind of incentives to our developers. You have to speed up the permitting process. This is something I've been fighting for a long time, guys, and it's hard when you don't have the full council behind, when you got all the powers, the political lobby powers that's coming behind. The bottom line is this: if you got to wait 9 months or 10 months for a permit, that costs the developer money. And when I'm talking about developers, I'm not talking about the custom home developers. I'm talking about the affordable housing developers, the nonprofits, the for-profit organizations that specialize on affordable housing. We need to let them develop the affordable housing. We need to allow them incentives or give them incentives based on expedited permitting, reduction in infrastructure fees. The county has to go in and assist, and the state. You cannot expect these developers to come in and build a subdivision of affordable housing and only let them fund everything, because it won't happen. It's not going to work. The county has to take some ownership. We have to put some skin in the game, whether it's lower water costs. Again, the permitting is huge. But no, we keep throwing money into an affordable housing fund. I just saw the council pass another 2% going into the affordable housing fund. But what are you going to do? You can just continue what we're doing? No, the system is broken. We need to fix the broken system and then fund it so we get the best bang for our buck. Larry says build apartment units. The other thing is, when we build affordable housing, it needs to be perpetual. Whether it's leasehold, whether it's lease to own or rent to own, it has to be perpetual. So you're not having people flip these affordable housing into non-affordable housing, into market housing. It's a program where we take a new homeowner through the process, and we share the equity. So if they decide they want to move out and they want to sell the house, well, the house gets sold back to the county, and we share the equity. So they get to take that equity, the percentage of that equity that they have received, and they can take that to go purchase a new house. But you don't allow them to sell at market. You don't allow them to sell it for market, and they keep all the profits, and then the county now has to start again to build another affordable housing unit. There's many program models out there across this country that works, but just to toss money at a system that's not working, it's not going to work. It's going to be the same thing. It's going to be the same thing. We also need to, there's this 3% tax on if you're a homeowner, you live in your house, you get a 3% cap. Your assessments go through the roof. Your 3% cap is a property tax increase. It's kind of difficult to understand. How can we keep charging people higher? I'm talking about people that live in the home, the families that own the home and live in it, not second, third, fourth house investment properties, but the house that you live in. There's a 3% cap. But when your property assessments goes up, your 3% cap, they're whacking you 3% higher. That is actually, you're increasing your taxes without increasing your tax rate. So while we can say we never increase your tax rate, no, but we increase your taxes because your assessments went up, and we whacked it up 3%. Now, when we have this influx of, this was a weird couple of years because of COVID, we ended up with a lot of cash coming from the feds, from the state. Those funds were used to pay what our normal county funds would have paid for. That created us some extra money. If we have that kind of increase in our budget, then don't you think we should maybe drop that 3% cap down to maybe a net zero so no one pays more tax because we have the money to operate our county? Or do we take that 3%, take all that money and spend it crazy and go buy what we want? No, I don't think that's right. I think that we should be focusing on our taxpayer because people are struggling. Gas, everything else is going off the hook. So that is another thing I definitely want to look at. That 3% cap needs to be, it's not just 3%, because if your assessments are jumping up 10, 15, 16%, then your tax rate's going to go pretty high. Stricter enforcement of illegal TVRs. Stricter. Right now, there's illegal TVRs that are infesting our neighborhoods. There are a lot of legal, non-compliant. They were legal before the law passed, so we cannot take it away. We have to let them go. But the one thing that bothers me is that if you're grandfathered in, then that entitlement should only last until you own the house. When you sell that house, that next owner cannot TVR. You cannot vacation rent that house. There is a law in the books, and this is where state legislature needs to change that and say, no, it goes with the owner. So if you bought this TVR and you ran it before the law changed, so you're grandfathered in, when you sell that property, no more TVR license. Sorry, you're done. It's going to revert back to hopefully a long-term rental. Can't be a short-term rental because we don't allow short-term rentals in neighborhoods. That is one way that we're going to see, because once you cannot sell your house as a vacation rental, as a income generating or revenue generating property, the value of that house drops. Right now they're selling off these things, and the right to vacation rent their house goes with the land and not the owner. That needs to change. We've asked our state to do that for many years. They refuse to, but that needs to happen. So if you buy your house, it's a vacation rental, and you've operated all this time, you sell it, The new owner doesn't get to do it unless he has a license, which he cannot get because we don't issue licenses anymore unless you're in a resort area. We need to remove that entitlement. The other big problem is absentee owners. These guys are now buying properties, flipping them. The house sits empty, right? They're buying it cash, sight unseen, paying the money, sending the money, getting the ownership of the property, and then just putting it back on the market and trying to flip it and make a quick profit. That house sits empty. I'm proposing that we charge those empty houses an additional tax. You want to go invest on Kauai? Guess what? You're gonna pay a high tax, pal. You want to go and utilize our you're taking inventory out of our rental or ownership programs. No, you're gonna pay the price, pal. You're not coming here to make money off of the backs of our residents, our families that are living in their cars, sleeping in the bushes. No, you want to flip a house? Okay, fine. You don't want to rent it long term? You're gonna pay a high tax. Again, I'm sure I'm not making too many friends tonight, but that's just, you want to fix this problem, you want to solve this problem, it's going to take some drastic measures. And that's one of them. There are just too many homes that are sitting vacant because people are trying to sell it and make a profit. And put a tax on there, put them back in the market, in a rental market, and get a family in there so we can get people off the street. Definitely got to work on that. Tourism. There's one in here for cesspool conversion, real quick. The funds were allocated. The bill was passed. The county just needs to implement the program. So basically, the state's going to require everybody who has a cesspool to convert to septic. The county has funds right now to pay for it. They have to set up the rules. They have to set up the admin rules, and they haven't done it yet. And that just needs to be done. Tourism. I don't, you guys know my position on tourism. I don't care about the breaking records of tourism coming into our state. This is the deal. And I'm speaking for Kauai because I don't know what it is on Maui or the Big Island or Oahu. But I know on Kauai right now, we are over the carrying capacity of our island. Plain and simple. There was a requirement years ago that we would, the state, everyone would be partnering up to do a carrying capacity study on all the islands. I don't want to have a discussion about airport expansions or more visitors coming into our island until the HLTA, the HTA, the visitor industry, of course the state, of course the counties, all put in and have a study done on the carrying capacity of our island. How many passengers per year can this current infrastructure of our island, how much can it handle? And until we have that number, we should not be promoting anything to our island. We don't need to promote Kauai. They are coming. They don't need commercials on TV. Hawaii is not like some unknown city in Missouri that you got to put a commercial on TV like Branson, Missouri. I see the commercial on the TV, like, wow, Branson, never heard of that place. Go look them up. No, you don't need to do that for Hawaii. Everybody knows what Hawaii is. So we don't need to go out and encourage more people to come when we don't even know what our carrying capacity is. I know we are over our carrying capacity. If you don't know that, go get into traffic. Go to the parks and go see how many toilet paper rolls you get in your toilet in the beaches that are being used by the visitors. Look how many bathrooms are clean. We are beyond the carrying capacity. If that carrying capacity study is done and it is determined that we only can handle 1,500 passengers a day, then the state and the feds cannot continue to push new routes on our island, airline routes, because we are over capacity. That is what is happening, folks. We have absolutely no say. The residents of this island has no say. All the money people get together, all the airline people get together, which is one of the strongest lobbies in our country, and they go to the feds and they say, hey, we want a new route from Oakland to Lihue. Hey, we want a new route from Canada to Lihue. And they get them. Now, no one cares about what the residents got to deal with. The people that live here and work here and are trying to raise their kids here have to deal with getting up early because you got to get in that silly traffic because of the overuse of our island. That carrying capacity study needs to be done. And it needs to be done before the airport expansion. They're thinking about increasing the Kauai Airport, Lihue Airport, to a capacity of 4 million visitors a year. But now, what is our state thinking? Well, they're not thinking. And they don't give a rat's patootie about the people that live on this island. They're looking at the money. They're looking at, wow, 4 million people. TAT. Wow. All that money. And they don't care that if I go to the bathroom at on park, I got to take my own toilet paper. God forbid, cannot even go in there because it's filthy. Or that I got to get up half an hour earlier because I got to get in that traffic just to get to work, or go work super early and hang out because I need to get to work on time. You know, that's what bothers me. We all know, really, no one can be that ignorant to not know that we have a capacity problem. They cannot. I mean, hello, what? They just want to exploit our island, and it frustrates me because we all know tourism is our industry of our state. Now, people are going to argue we got to get rid of tourism and we got to go diversify our economy. Listen, guys, for decades and decades and decades, we have tried. We try to bring high tech. We tried agriculture. We tried all of these industries that there is nothing that's going to replace the tourism industry anytime soon. But our residents, our families, our businesses that are suffering because of the failure of our state and our counties to recognize the fact that we have too many people coming to our island. Uh, our people should not be burdened with that. It just shouldn't. And when the state goes out and commissions a study to expand, listen, I'm all for upgrading our airport. I'm all for upgrading our parking lot. I'm all for upgrading the Lihui Airport because it needs an upgrading. But I am definitely not supporting an expansion. Not until we know what the capacity is, not until we know how much our island can handle, and that the feds are in line with that when they start assigning routes. And that's just the way it needs to be. Because I'm getting sick and tired of not being able to do what I used to do because the beaches are full or because the highways are crowded. No, you go into the stores and everybody's like, oh my God, all of these extra people coming in are taking stuff that our families should have. I Anyway, I'm gonna get to the questions, guys. That's kind of all I have right now. There's so much more to talk about, but obviously, like I said, I wanted to keep this to an hour. We'll go a little over because I want to get to the questions. So let me check the questions. By the way, the Mel and Charlie show, yeah, it's not going to go away. We are going to, and again, if I'm elected, folks, you will have a dedicated night of the week for those of you on Kauai anyway, that we'll go over the issues. We will go over the council meeting, what was discussed, how you can get engaged. That's not going to stop. That is definitely not going to stop. Let me see if we got any questions here. Okay, I have a question. Given the county's financial position, do you have any thoughts on trimming the county operating budget in some ways to allocate funds to recall county GO bonds or prepay OPEB costs? We one of the things Kauai did a while back, we agreed for our retirement pension plans, we pay 100%. We are not like the state; they owe so much money to the retirement plan. We constantly, I shouldn't say constantly. I really don't know what has happened in the last 3 years, but as far as the we try to refinance our bonds whenever interest rates down. Well, you saw the news today. We're not going to be doing that anytime soon. Interest rates are going up, and we got it now. We've missed the boat. One of the big problems we have here is our water department is having issues. They don't have money to take care of our water systems. The only way the county is going to get that money is to go out and basically get a bond, borrow money to go ahead and uh, assist in getting our water infrastructure up to par. Again, it goes back to the overcapacity, right? We're at a point where we've got to really take care of the infrastructure and take care of the people. And the debt, our debt in our county, we're in a very good place. We have a very good credit rating. Um, we are in a position again with the new interest rates. I don't know where we at today, but that interest rates obviously at some point will come down. We got to take advantage of that and take care of our debt. Refinance down to lower interest rates or whatever we have to bring down the debt service to our county. In other words, our loans that we can get paid off. Knowing that no single individual council member can do anything on their own, as well as need to work with the mayor, can you give us your insights on how you would or wouldn't advocate that county projects enhancements would be spread out equally around the entire island? Seems as though a lot of things get located and are done on the east and north, but not spread out west, such as Kapaa Skate Park, Rice Street. Yeah, and though council may possibly have limited ability to truly change this, what would the proposals to reduce the crazy morning afternoon traffic? I already talked about the traffic. I did want to talk about the allocation of the projects throughout the state. See, my vision, and I'm gonna be straight with you guys. And if any of my opponents are watching, I'm not afraid to share it. I want to be the chair again. I really do want to go back as the chair of the county council, and I want to. I'm not sure who's going to be the next administration, the next mayor, but I did have a chat with Derek, and we spoke a couple weeks ago, and I shared with him that we'll get together and we'll meet and we'll talk and we'll work a plan if I get elected. And the council is the closest connection to government for the people. Yeah, you have 7 council members across the island. They are at football games, baseball, soccer. They're at music festivals and concerts and hula festivals, and they have 7 of them out there. That's who the people recognize. Our state, they meet one session a year. They're not as accessible as the council. My plan would be really to, once the new administration is in place, once the new council is in place, we form a list of priorities island-wide. What do the council members see as priorities for their constituents in their area? And that would all be agreed upon, and that would all go into the budget. So it's an pre-agreed discussion. And of course, that discussion is public. It's not behind closed doors. But that way, every council member can respond to the needs of their constituents by having projects already in the budget that has been already discussed and agreed upon, providing funds are available. So that's the only way I know of, because otherwise, once the budget is passed and the administration is free to do what they want with the budget, it's very difficult for the council, especially one council member, to get the administration to do anything that their constituents want. So it's about working together with the administration, coming up with a list of priorities that hopefully your council members know what they need in their districts or in their areas. And we don't have defined districts. We're at large here. For those of you in the other islands, Kauai has 7 council members that represent the whole island, which works really well for us because every member of the community has 7 people they can call. Everyone's equally accountable to the constituent wherever they live. I think it works great. So I hope I answered that question. What is your platform? I think I just said my platform. How would you advocate that county projects be spread out equally? Okay, I just answered that. Position on recent proposed tax increase of TVR units proposed by Luke and Mason. Recent tax proposed increase. I know they just today. I just saw the 2%. The 2% of the tax money will be going over to the Affordable Housing Fund. I already talked about that. That throwing money at a broken system isn't going to solve the problem. It is not going to solve the problem. We got to fix the broken system. We got to take care of see, it's supply and demand. It's supply and demand. So if we have more supply of affordable housing or available housing, then the prices go down. That's just economics, basic economics. Would you introduce a bill for reimbursement for rescue expenses? Absolutely, yes. We tried this before. We got threatened by the legislature that we wanted to go ahead and start charging. You see, when we bought our county helicopter, we bought it through a federal program that they had different levels or different definitions. This is what I was told, and I came from the fire chief at the time. I had no reason to doubt him, but that on the program how we secured our helicopter, that we were not allowed to charge for rescue. That helicopter has been paid a long time ago. I can tell you that is definitely one of my priorities. We are going to seek local residents. You pay taxes. You pay for your firemen and firewomen. You pay for the expenses of the chopper when you pay your property tax or when you pay your rent, which eventually gets to the property tax, would be exempt. But any visitor that comes up here and decides that they want to go hiking on a trail that they definitely should not be on, or go into a beach that has they're trespassing, Queen's Pond, and we got to send our rescuers, risk their lives to go pick you up. Not only we charge them for the cost, we charge them criminally for trespass. Again, you might think I'm heartless. If you want to stop the behavior, you got to provide the deterrent. Right now, there is no deterrent. You want to jump over that fence line and go down to the beach and get hurt, and you get picked up for free? What? That remember now, social media, people brag about their stupid behaviors, and people know. You can try to get to Hanakapia. If you're tired to come down, just call 911. They come pick you up, and there's no bill. So yes, absolutely, we need to start charging them, and if they're violating the law in the process, they need to be charged criminally and prosecuted as well. Um, I guess that's it. Is there any more questions? Okay, again, I sorry if I missed you guys' questions on the. There's only 2 questions that came on email. Let me real quick. Let me try to scroll down and see if I. Would you still do the Mel and Charlie show? Yes, we'll do the Mel and Charlie show. Like I said, we'll have a day dedicated just for the county, the Kauai issues. Let's see. Make a no baboos law. Since COVID, plenty of babooses. Yeah. Um, okay. Limit the number of tourist arrivals daily. That's the thing. There's a lot of things outside of the control of the county council, outside of the control of the county government. What I don't like about this whole over tourism thing is that decisions are being made by our federal aviation people, by our state Department of Transportation, airports divisions, um, that the community is not engaged in. There is absolutely no discussion. Well, the airport expansion there is because there's a Department of Transportation uh, project, and the consultants part of the planning is to have the community input. So they have to. But many of these decisions, I mean, why aren't we having a discussion publicly if we should allow 4 more new routes to come into Kauai, bringing in an extra 1,000 people a day or 2,000 people a day? I believe we should. I believe we should have a say, and I think the people should determine whether or not we allow more passengers to come in on a daily basis. I mean, come on, isn't that how it's supposed to be? Um, Thanks for the answer. I like the proactive plan to have projects in the budget. Yeah, because it's almost impossible, and this I can speak from experience. And I'll give you an example. When I was on the council, the soccer field by Vidina Stadium is a wonderful place for our kids to play soccer, but there's no restroom. And yes, there is a restroom at the stadium, but these little kids got to run all the way. There were many accidents. The county solution was to put up portable toilets, which was nasty. You don't want your little kid running across the street to go to the bathroom in the stadium. You definitely don't want them using one of those blue boxes that splash all that caca back into your body. So I put in the budget. I proposed that we build a new restroom facility, just a simple male female bathroom at the facility, and the council approved it. And when it went to the administration, the parks director at the time said, "You guys are under budget. It's going to cost 750,000 to build that bathroom." Now, okay, I'm not a carpenter. I'm not a contractor. Definitely not a estimator. But I can tell you this: a concrete bathroom with 2 stalls, ADA accessible, is not going to cost 750,000. I mean, I could build a house with 3 bathrooms, 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms for $750,000. So once the budget is in motion, if you don't have that agreement between the administration and the council on the projects that the community wants to see happen, then it's very difficult. And that's just how it is here on Kauai. On the other islands, some of the like on Oahu, the council members have an allotment that they can use for community projects. I'm assuming they still have it, George. I don't know if that's still in place. I know that always, as long as I was on the council, Oahu, each council member had an allocation that they could use for their constituents in their district. We don't have that here. The council doesn't have any funds to go out and help their constituents in the communities. So we have to rely on everything in the budget, and that happens once a year. And once the budget is passed, it's very difficult to get the administration to do something different. But again, it all works with that communication, early onset, the discussions, so that we can agree that the council members will have an opportunity to provide projects and services to their constituents. Because listen, guys, I really don't care who the mayor is. I don't see why the council is not or should not have that opportunity to help their communities as well. I think we're closer to the ground than anyone else anyway, when it relates to the county issues. So we shall see. Any other questions? I did want to just real quick, our website, you see it, melforcouncil.org. Um, you can go in there and just check it out. You could volunteer for if you want to sign or a banner, if you want to help us in the campaign, join our team, just go ahead and contact them. We won't sell your information. Um, Also, there's a place you can go on there and donate, and I hate asking for money, but we got to get this message out. We got to get our message out, and our message is just to do one mail out, it's a lot of money, but we we can use some funds. Obviously, we take $100 or less. I'm in the public funding program, so any donation of $100 or less gets matched by campaign spending. Now, those monies, I know people say, well, I don't like my taxpayer money going to that. Well, when you do your taxes and it says, do you want to donate $1 or $2 to the campaign election fund? That's where the money is from. They're funded by those donations from your tax returns and also from the fines and fees from the candidates. So those funds only come if from people that volunteer to donate. But for every dollar we raise, we get a dollar matching, and so we don't need that much, but we definitely need. I spent all my money in the mayor's race, so we gotta recoup. The link is on the page. If you go to melforcouncil.org, right on the original page, you can just click on the amount you want to donate, and it'll go right through. On July 16th, we're going to be having a spaghetti plate fundraiser. It'll be a drive-through. It'll be at the Kauai Veteran Center on Kapuli Highway from 4 to 6 p.m. The tickets are $15. The tickets just got done today. I'll be picking them up tomorrow. If any of you want to purchase, obviously, if you're from Kauai, let me know. Shoot me a message, a text, email, whatever. If you want to help me sell some tickets, let me know. We can put packets of 10 together, and that will really help. Great. Uncle John Apana is making the spaghetti. Patsy's making the dessert. We have corn and a nice warm bun. $15 a plate, very low cost. We're just trying to make a little bit there so we can help fund the message. Any other questions? You don't need to live on Kauai to donate. Absolutely, absolutely. The village has been really good for us. Calabash, they allow you to have a calabash. You can have up to $500 cash from anonymous. I choose not to do that. I just don't. The campaign spending is a very strict organization. We don't deal with. We don't do. Can we use your old signs? Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Nothing has really changed. Yeah, use the council signs, not the mayor signs. You can throw people off. But this is the deal, folks. As you can tell, the 15, 1 5, 1 5. I'm losing my voice already. Hang on, I made one nice. My cranberry watermelon juice. I got so passionate I forgot it was there. As you can tell, the passion I have for this island and this place is off the hook. I went to an interview, and one of the questions was, explain to us why you think you're the best candidate. I told them, I don't know if I'm the best candidate. There's a heck of a lot of good people running, but I can tell you I'm the hardest working candidate. I am not afraid to work. And for those of you that know me, you know that's true. I mean, for all those years I was on the council, I worked hard. I put a lot of time, a lot of energy, and oftentimes it was after working an 8-hour shift at the hotel overnight. And I don't say that to brag or ask for yays. I'm just saying my love I didn't work at the hotel because I wanted extra money to go to Vegas. I had to work at the hotel to pay the bills. I wish a lot of people think I'm rich. Guys, you can tell by my wall. It's single wall, Hicks home, built in 1950, 720 square feet, 3 bedroom, 1 bath. Raised our 2 kids in this house. I love this place. Wailo house lots. Definitely not rich. I know what it's like to struggle because we still struggle today. The passion I have for this island, I honestly tell you, man, sometimes it gets the best of me and Patsy. Sometimes it's not. You got to settle down, relax. I'm afraid that we may be heading in the wrong direction. I'm afraid that if we don't start paying attention, and when I say we, I'm not just talking about 7 council members. I'm talking about we as a population, as the residents of this county. If we don't start paying attention, if we don't start engaging, if we don't start talking to our legislators and our public or our county council members and our mayor and our, if we're not letting them know how we feel, if we're not electing the right people that's going to represent you and what you believe, then I can tell you this is going to change like that. We are going to be like Maui real soon, where is basically a different place, and it's already starting. And many of you already have said, "Yeah, it's not the same." Why it's not? But there is a chance that we can start at least try to slow down the progress, slow down the impacts to our families, and keeping our families here. I hate, I hate that my kids don't live here. I love the videos at night. My son just got 2 kittens, and I cannot believe I'm actually starting to fall in love with their kittens because I'm really not a cat guy. But they are doing what they have to do to survive in a place that they weren't born. Their kids are going to be Oregonians. They're not going to be Hawaiians. Um, so the bottom line is it's going to take all of us. It's not that 7 people that get elected. Um, I don't agree with Mel on some issues, but he's got my vote. Thank you, Scotty. You know what, buddy? The ultimate compliment I've ever had was from a constituent that said, brother, I don't agree with plenty of what you say, but at least I know where you're coming from. And to me, that was kind of the ultimate compliment because I am not afraid to change my position if I am educated, if I come across new information. Again, for those of you that may have watched council meetings in the past, you would see on a bill that I may have introduced and testimony came in and it changed my position because it was information that I did not know. I'm not afraid to say I was wrong. I'm not afraid to say I I I needed additional information. I'm not. All I care about is making sure that we do the best we can for the people of this island. That's all. Um, yeah, I'm running for office again. Maui get nice roads. How come we don't? Yeah, they have a great public works. Yeah, Maui's. It's just some of the. I'm not gonna talk about Maui. We just talk about Kauai. I know we got people across the state. I listen. I think I'm very accessible. Very accessible. The show that we had before Mel and Charlie was again once a week. We would discuss what was on the agenda, and it was kind of a call to action for the viewers to start making the calls they needed to make. You know, I remember I had made a resolution, and some of you may remember when the kids were um, being denied their school lunches. That's a state issue. One thing I cannot stand is when you talk to a politician and they tell you, "Oh, that's a state issue," or if you talk to a state person and they say, "Oh, that's a county issue." You know what? There is no state issue. There is no county issue. We have the ability and the opportunity to work with the state to deal with state issues. But it's our duty to make sure we try to help our constituents get through a state issue. We're all Kauai. Again, I'm sorry, this is Kauai centric, but we all represent the people of Kauai, whether it's a state issue, county issue. But these kids were being denied lunches. They would go through the lunch line, get their plate, get their little card that got scanned, and they didn't have any money in the account. By law, by rule, they had to take that plate and throw it in a trash can. The kid would feel so embarrassed because everybody knew he had no money in his account. Was that the kid's fault? Absolutely not. I When I spoke to the parent, the first parent, I had received calls probably from a dozen parents, but when I had gotten the call, I called Oahu and I spoke to the school lunch coordinator, and they told me that's the policy. That once the kid touches the plate, they cannot serve that plate to anybody else. And I said, is it that much of a problem to let the kid eat that plate, eat that food, rather than throw him into the barrel for the pigs? Wouldn't it make sense to just let the parents know? But you're throwing the food away in the trash. No, we cannot do that. Department of Health, whatever, blah blah blah. So I did a resolution urging the state because that we have no authority over that. Urging the state, please do not toss those plates away. let the kid eat the food, and then deal with the money later. You know, we did the resolution, put it on the floor. Um, every school had a little negative balance. One of our wonderful residents on the island anonymously donated the negative balance for the rest of the year. So no kid went without food. You understand some of these kids, that's their only meal that they get. Again, when you get policymakers that have no idea what it's like to be poor, when they have no idea what it's like to struggle, all of these people in the big offices that cannot relate to people that have no money. When you say, oh, that tax increase is only $20 a month, or maybe they don't know, in many households no more $20, right? They're shuffling bills. They're not paying this bill this month so they can pay that bill. They no more $20. But these people cannot relate to that because they've never been in that situation. So when someone tells me that's the policy, we have to throw the food away, that, number one, makes no sense because you're throwing it in a barrel where a kid could have eaten. And the negative balance for the whole island of Kauai was so small, like the state wasn't going to go bankrupt. I tell you, I got calls from some of our representatives. I will not mention names, chewing my ass out for embarrassing the state by putting that resolution on the floor. You see, my job is not to please the state. My job is not to make them look good. My job is to make sure our people are taken care of. That if there's an issue that is affecting one of our residents, one of our families, my job as a council member, even if I don't have the authority to do anything, is to hear it and send it where it needs to go. And if I embarrass you because you came up with a policy that makes no sense, oh well. And that's God's truth, people. And one of our villagers was the person that actually called me. So, I don't know if she's on tonight, but yeah, for real, that's what happened. And it continued for a while. And yeah, that was, to me, I thought that was criminal, actually. But, it, you know, but my point is this, is the fact that we as council members may not have the authority to change a rule regarding schools. Um, that shouldn't We shouldn't have the ability to just punt and say, "Hey, we'll call the school lunch coordinator." I That's not our job. Our job is to say, "What's your name and number? What was the date that it happened? I'll get back to you, and you make the deal. You make the call." That's our job. That is what I'm promising to all of you guys on Kauai that are deciding who you're gonna vote for. Number one, you got to vote. Make sure you vote. We run two campaigns. Number one is to make sure people get registered and they vote. Number two, vote for me if you can. All right. Any other question, folks? Any other questions? Oh, shucks. I went about half an hour over. I'm sorry, folks. I am so sorry. Um, Again, Mel for Council. I'm sorry, melforcouncil.org. My email, melforcouncil@gmail.com. Appreciate you guys' support. I have the hardest time promoting myself, but you know, tonight is a night that I got to ask you for your support, ask for your help, and go to the website and sign up the volunteer paper, and we will be in touch. All right, folks. Hey, we love you guys. Stay safe. God bless. What about the plate lunches fundraiser? July 16th, Vet Center from 4 to 6. We will, once we get the tickets tomorrow, I'll definitely post it up. And we're gonna have to. We won't be doing drive-throughs without tickets because we got to know how much to cook. Right now, we're hoping to sell 600 tickets. We're gonna cook for 600 people, for 600 plates, and we could definitely use your help. So we're kicking it off. We appreciate, yeah, drive-through, Patsy. Thank you. Drive-through pickup. Um, yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for your time. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you guys tomorrow night. Mel and Charlie show. We get Shopo on. We got some big things happening with the police departments. Aloha, mahalo, George. Appreciate your help, buddy. You guys take care. God bless. We love you guys.